Hello, winners, and welcome to probably a bonus episode here of the Wrong Button podcast. I am joined by the reverse hollow himself, Adrian Chamblee.
Hello there.
Um, and as you can tell, I'm really excited to kind of just get into this. Elden Ring was released. Um, you've picked it up. I have not yet. As of the recording of this podcast, I have not picked it up, but I am a pretty big fan of the Souls games, and I know you yourself have just gone on your first quest to go through the Souls games. So I thought we would sit down, talk, and kind of celebrate everything that is the infuriation of playing a Souls. What are they going to be called now? An Elden Soulsborn, like Elder Soulsborn.
Well, you got to put in what was it, Sekiro as well. Don't forget about that one.
I mean, but Sekiro is not like I would say Sekiro is more like Ghost of Tsushima than it is Dark Souls or like a Souls game.
But it's hard as hell still.
Oh yeah, I am not gonna. I think it's personally harder than any of the Souls games, and that's just because it has the mechanics of like do Devil May Cry but perfectly, and I cannot do that.
Oh man.
But great to have you back on on the podcast. I'm really excited to talk some Soulsborne with you because I'm a huge fan of the franchise. Do you remember when your first experience was with the franchise?
2011. It was a little bit before Dark Souls came out because let me go back a little bit to 2000. What was it, 2009? I heard about this game called Demon Souls. Came out around the same time Uncharted 2 did on the PS3.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and I remember seeing Demon Souls at E3, and I was like, oh, it's kind of a linear type of action RPG type of game. And I remember them saying it's super hard. I'm like, I think I'll pass on it. I don't, because I didn't really care for hard games back then.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, people picked it up. They said it's great, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I never paid attention to it for like a year and a half. Then I heard about this Dark Souls. I'm like, what's this? Is that like that Demon Souls that came out? I was looking at that game. I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. And it's saying, oh, it's just as hard, if not harder, than Demon Souls, and now it's more open world. I'm like, hmm. And I remember, I don't know exactly what it was that made me want to buy the game. But just remember watching. I think it was I remember watching IGN. They did this was back right before live streaming really got super popular. They did a
Mm-hmm.
live stream of like a 24-hour run of Dark Souls, and it had a death counter and everything. And I was watching that, and like I'm watching them play the games. Like, this looks pretty cool. Wow, I'm gonna have to pick this up. I don't remember if it was before or after I picked up Demon Souls. I can't remember. I think it might have been before I picked up Demon Souls. But I remember being starting to get interested in Dark Souls. I was like, I'm gonna give Demon Souls a shot. So I picked up Demon Souls, got to the Tower Knight, and it beat the hell out of me. Big time. That dang Tower Knight.
I Yeah, so for me it was I remember it was like 2008 ish, maybe 2007, because Demon Souls had originally came out in Japan. It came out over in America by 2009, maybe 2010 time frame, but
2009.
it was published by Atlas in America. So I had a friend who was really into like old hard games. Like he's one of those like people who's like, no, I play old school like old games that were just hard. Kind of like how like you're like playing Aladdin, and it's just like, why is this stupid hard for almost no reason? And he was like, no, you have to try this. Because I liked Diablo. I was playing games like Champions of Norath, Champions Return to Arms. He goes, here, you've got a PlayStation 3. Try this game called Demon Souls. And my like high school pumped up on Call of Duty brain couldn't quite grasp it, and so we're playing Japanese version in English with and I remember getting like through the I I, I beat Phalanx, and I always try to do like a spellcaster build, and it was before I learned that these games weren't meant for spellcaster builds. Um, and I remember going and like jumping around because like no, you can decide to go anywhere, and I remember being like, okay, well I beat the Phalanx, and I went back to the sanctum, and then I was like, yeah, we're gonna go over to this forge place, and there were these salamanders that were on fire, and they were these fiery fucking salamanders, and I just remember like I ran over them and they would kill me, and I was like, why are they doing this? He goes, they're literally on fire. what what do you want from that? And that was like I bounced off of Demon Souls so hard because I was like, this is stupid and dumb. And then Bloodborne came out, and Bloodborne's actually what got me back into the Souls franchise. Like now, 30 years old, the fact that it's like you can play these games super well as an adult, even if you get a little bit older, because it's learning patterns. It's being willing to walk into a boss fight and let them swing on you to learn how to go through these fights. But yeah, and Demon Souls had some jank, but those games are not for you if you're not patient. So that was my first. So you started with Dark Souls, then went back to Demon Souls.
Well, I started with Demon Souls first. Demon Souls I started with because I knew the games weren't connected, but I kind of wanted to get my feet wet into like the franchise and see what I was getting myself into. Plus, I wanted to see if I could beat Demon Souls before Dark Souls came out. Long story short, I didn't, but I did eventually beat Demon Souls. It was the first Souls game I've ever finished.
Bloodborne. So Bloodborne's gonna be my first one, just because I like the gothic aesthetic of it. The not even like the Lovecraftian, but just like the farther in the future where you have weapons like that. But I can go back because I know you recently have played through all the Dark Souls games because I've been watching you as you've been traversing through um three. Do you have like a favorite of the Souls games that you like to get into?
My favorite would
Like out of
probably
out of playing all of them so far?
of all the ones I played. I said the first Dark Souls is still my personal favorite. I think it's not the easiest of the bunch because I think the easiest is actually two, believe it or not. But
I've
I
heard
think
that.
yeah, um, yeah, I think the first one because I think it just did everything so well, and
Hmm.
plus I'm so used to the game now. I know what's coming. I know what to do. I'm not gonna be blindsided by what's to come. And I don't know. I think they have the best areas as well, and that world. It's how everything is so interconnected. I think they did that best too.
Oh, how you can like when you're at when you're at Firelink, how you can look over and you can see the undead Burg, and then if you look over the other way, you can see the Valley of Drakes. You can
Exactly.
see like peer into Blight Town almost.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
I would
you
say the. Go ahead.
no, and I was gonna say, and you look at him from afar, it's like, oh, that's nice. And then you finally realize, it's like, oh wait, I'm at the spot where I was looking at Firelink, and you look back over and you see Firelink. It's like, wow, that's insane.
And a lot of it is that impossible space where like I know it's like the way this connects and the way you move, it doesn't make sense, but it felt like they did such a good job at blending it that it was it was incredibly exciting. And when they started, it felt like they started trying to do that with Bloodborne, because you could go from the Cathedral Ward, and then you would go down into Old Yarnum, and then Old Yarnum was also there was the door with the Peril Beast where after you got kidnapped, which and there were so many different parts where I felt like they tried to link it, but it wasn't personally. I didn't find it as visually stunning as it was like, oh yeah, like there's Laundrick, there's and Orlando. Like you could start to see a lot of those areas in uh in one, and it just felt like, okay, I was over there, now I'm over here, whereas in Bloodborne it was a little bit more obscured. I would say like my only, because like looking back on it now, I think personally, I think Dark Souls 1, I would agree with you, is my favorite. The remastered, just because I feel like the remastered cleaned up a lot of things.
Oh,
Uh
big
the
time.
only the only fault I have with that entire game is the Capra Demon. I
Oh
think
god.
that's because it's the only boss that's not fair. Um where you can walk in and you walked in the door and that was it. Like it wasn't like, no, you should have taken it from the left. No, it was you walked in the door and for whatever reason the dog hit you and he spanked you. And then he's hanging out by the door for the rest of these fights.
I completely agree with you on that. The Capra Demon is unfair. I can't count how many times I walk in the door and I just get jumped by two blades, just boom, dead.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? And you have a small space to work with too, and that's like, come on now.
Now I will give the game credit because when you get towards, so spoiler cast guys, real quick, housekeeping, we are gonna spoil um probably all the Souls games here except for Elden Ring, because they've all been out a while, and they've just all been out a while. So it's something that we might sit here and spoil for you. So if you are a fan of those and you're like, no, I want to preserve and then play all the Demons and Souls games, um, enjoy any one of our other lovely podcasts. But going back to it, I do like that the Capra Demon. So you fight him, um, and probably one of the best parts about this, and I didn't realize till I've watched like 2 or 3 LPs of it, is when you watch two people that have, you watch someone who's watching, when you watch an LP or stream and someone clearly knows the Souls games and the other person clearly doesn't, and you watch him and he's like, oh, he noticed the fog door, and the person sprints to the fog door of the Capra Demon and gets crapped on immediately and was like, this is not fair. And the other person's like, yep, actually, you're 100% right there. And he's giggling because the person didn't explore. They didn't find the shortcut to Firelink to get him like right down, or to the Undead Burg,
Oh
to like
my
get him down to that
gosh.
run. So they have to do the whole run all over again, fight the assassins, fight the dogs all the way down.
I think I did that before too. I
Oh, I
forgot
know, I totally have.
I forgot to do it in the beginning. I just saw the door and I just went in there and I just got destroyed and had to do the whole was it beneath under Undeadburg, what's it called? Or beneath Undeadburg?
Uh, Above Blight Town, but below Undead Burg.
Yeah, yeah, that whole area again, and
Yeah.
it's like, fuck, I hate this. But then I saw the shortcut. I was like, oh well, this is a bit better.
Yeah, and that was like the first point there. Now, I guess one of the other things that we kind of should go into is what kind of build do you like?
um, shoot, my builds are so weird. In Dark Souls, in Dark Souls, I usually do a pyromancer because I just like fire.
Okay.
I do
It,
pyromancer, but like I don't really like enhance my pyromancy as much as I should. I still focus mainly on melee combat, but I like having the fire just to throw at people in case shit happens or whatever. Just as
oh
like a
yeah.
just like as a safety net or whatever. But yeah, I usually do pyromancer all the time. I never really tried like sorcery, a sorcerer class or anything like that. I can't really do night classes because I don't they're just too damn slow. But like I would but yeah, pyromancer is what I usually go after. But honestly the way I play, I should really like focus more on like strength and dexterity classes. That's what I should focus on more so. But I'm stubborn.
I it's like, so for me, like coming off of, like I said, I played Diablo, I played games called Champions of Norath and Champions Return to Arms, which are based off of they're like EverQuest hack and slashes,
Mm-hmm.
based off of that world. So coming off of those games for me, where it was like you could you can mess up building your character in Diablo. You can mess up building your character in the Champion series, but the difference here is like messing up is, 2 levels later you can fix it. It's but it's like, hey, you're playing an elf. Elves are good with archery. Pump into all your archer specials, and it has a safety net. Same thing with Diablo. You're playing as a sorceress. You probably want mana, and then you want like dexterity, because I think that helps with your aim and your range. When it came to like switching from classic style RPGs to Dark Souls, I think for a lot of us it was that rude awakening of like, oh well, I'm gonna put a little bit in in strength, and let me put a couple in dex, and oh well, I like some magic, so let me put a few in and then you realize you get to the first boss, like even like actually I would say, especially if we're talking like Dark Souls, like you'd fight the Taurus demon, and is it the Capra demon that's pretty much right after him? I thought it was somebody else.
It's the in fact the you do the stray demon first, then the Taurus demon, and yeah, I think it's a Capra demon next.
Yeah, but you hit like the Capra demon, and you just realize that you're doing like no damage, or you're fighting people, and it feels like there's really nothing that's going on. And it was one of the first games where it was like, "Hey kid, you didn't build your character right. I'm gonna need you to restart and do this." Like the teacher goes, "Hey, your test looks like ass. Here's a new test. You now need to restart." And it's like, well, can I copy? No, you like just restart. This old test is so bad. I'm gonna throw it out and give you the same test.
I'm never gonna fail you. Just redo it.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think you might be able to correct me if I'm wrong. Like the canonical way to like start that game, or the best way to start it, is with the Pyromancer, because it has like the best spread of skill, but it also doesn't. It has the best. It's the best spreading of skill points, but it's also the lowest starting level. I think it actually is the only class that starts at level 1.
You know what? I never really paid attention to the starting level, but the set of skills are pretty does have a good spread. I think that's another reason why I've done it too, because I thought I saw like the skill levels. I was like, oh, okay, it's actually pretty well balanced. I'm gonna stick with this one, and I get fire. Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of my favorites. Now I know you said you've been sticking more melee. What kind of weapon class do you do?
Sword.
Sword?
Yep.
Big boy, big poise. Like, are we talking like, uh, are we talking like I'm gonna smack somebody and they're gonna be stunned, but my sword is, are you like a berserk or a cloud, or are you like a like the I'm gonna use the uchi katana and you know judgment cut everything?
Um, I'm kind of more of a right in between that. I use great sword. I'll use a great sword, but I will never use an ultra great sword because I just suck with those. So like, I'm not a cloud per se, but I'm not an uchi katana kind of guy. I'm more of like a let's see here. Kind of like let's say like the big Goron sword from Zelda or something like that. I don't know. Like not the Master Sword, like a little bit bigger than the Master Sword. Like I like the great swords because the swing isn't as I mean it's a slower swing, but it's not as slow as like the Ultra Great Sword. And like if I miss with the Ultra Great Sword, I'm gonna pay for it in my blood.
I'm actually sitting here, so Goron sword. I'm actually not a big Legend of Zelda person. So I,
Ah,
I actually I know in the original game, and by the original I mean in Ocarina of Time, you break the Goron sword, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's what I was that's what I was trying to take a look at here. So it's a little so almost like a claymore, I guess.
Yes, the
Okay.
Claymore. Exactly. I'm a Claymore kind of guy. There you go.
Yeah, because I know I've been watching you in 3, and you have the ice sword, and I lost that sword's name.
It's
Um,
the Elrith. I can't pronounce it.
uh, and that one was cool. Now, so for me, like, I'm one of those people where I do typically like I start off as I think it's the bandit because he has the most pumped into strength, and with the bandit, I've gotten really big into like axe builds. And my last playthrough and the playthrough when I eventually I think bring the misses through it is going to be like a halberd build because I have recently like really gotten respect for like, hey, let's use a halberd, let's use an axe, something a little bit different than a sword. Um, what draws you to the weapons that you use? Are you like a moveset person or is it uh something else?
Um, I have to think about that for a second. Not really a moveset person, so just well, a little bit like there's certain swords that has like you use that little special attack or their heavy attacks. Or heavy attacks they do some crazy spin or whatever. They make a character do some crazy thing, and it's like I don't want to do that. That's too much, and I'll usually end up missing because I know like the when you're a wanderer, you have that I forgot what the name of the sword is, but you do the heavy attack and he'll like do his little spin attack, and it's like I don't want to do that. And it doesn't even do like a whole lot of damage whenever I do it.
Mm-hmm.
But like so I guess moveset is a it's kind of a kind of has something to do with it as well. But like I don't know, I'm just a sword guy. I really like just seeing a guy walk around with a sword and everything like that. I just think that looks cool. Hellbirds are good too, though. I do like that, but I again like with like the Hellbird, I miss a lot, and I hate that.
And no, that and that's I think that's become my biggest thing. So uh how familiar are you with the meta for the Souls games?
The meta,
Yeah. Like have you watched like anyone who like breaks down how enemies will work on you, how endurance works for other people, the different like so if you played Dark Souls 1, what is it? There's a stat for resist, I believe it is, right? Where
yeah.
it'll and it let's say you pumped that stat like exclusively, the actual stat itself will make almost no difference to your character getting poisoned, recovering faster. Like it is damn near a worthless stat. Um, or if you look into poise. So, for instance, with some weapons, you know, you smack a knight, and if the knight doesn't like parry you, like they do that like rock back,
Yeah.
and then you can get the free hit in. Have you delved into like any of that stuff?
No, I haven't really actually.
I would. There are two let's plays. There's the original one of like the super best friends play where Wooly and Pat go through it, and now most recently Wooly's taken one of his new people through the Souls games, and he kind of starts to break down for him without spoiling a lot of the game, but to also be like, hey, you know, I'm gonna give you this. I'm going to explain to you how this works without trying to spoil the game. And one of the things that like they go into is um, like play with the move set of the weapon, and then also how will it affect an enemy? How will an enemy affect you? And like he goes into, if you sip from the Estus too close to the enemies literally have like a chase down meter to you, where if you're in a certain range, they will save enough of their stamina to run up and stab you.
Wow.
Um, the enemies also have endurance. So you could theoretically, kind of like, how you'll exhaust yourself by you've rolled too many times, you've done too much stuff like that. The enemy can theoretically do the same thing.
Hmm.
So I didn't know if you delved into any of those stats at all, or any of that.
I've never have. I did not know that.
Um,
I mean, I
it,
knew
it
about poise. That's about it. But like all the other stuff, I did not know that.
um, it's like, personally, I'm like, it became incredibly interesting for me when I was when I started really learning it and looking into it, and that's where I started getting into like doing different builds, doing axe builds, um, sword builds. Don't I would say like sword builds, and I think maybe the spear don't penalize you for missing. So like the halberd, if you swing it and there's no one there for you to connect, your character will like fall over and you will stumble.
Yeah, I've noticed that too when I've used a halberd before. Like when I'm just swinging that air, I just like he'll stumble a bit. I'm like, what the heck? Like, so I not thought I wasn't strong enough to use it or something like that, but or I wasn't like skilled enough to use it. But now I know it's not the case.
Yeah, it's physically the weapons. There are certain weapons that are built that way. So you said you don't like to do a you said you don't like to do a uh oh god, what would you say? You don't like to do a night class. They're too slow. How what is your general what's your general approach when you're playing the when you're like taking on a boss, or going through a game? What's your actual play style, your normal play style?
um, take on a boss. Like I would. I know the correct thing to do is just to like kind of look and see, study their moveset or whatnot. Me, I just go in there. I will like I had to look for openings on bosses and see with me. This is my problem with the night classes. They roll. When I mean by they're too slow, is that the roll, that fat roll. I can't stand it. I hate the fat roll. I need like
Fair
a
enough.
yeah. I need like a good. I need a really good roll because I like to dodge. I do play a lot of defense when it comes to like just the game in general, not just bosses and just the game in general. Um, and I will like use I will block a lot too. But like my big thing is like I roll around and look for openings and kind of wait for them to like I'm not much of a parry person cuz I
Hmm.
can never trust it. Um yeah, parrying, I mean on regular enemies I'm just fine with that, but like on bosses I don't think I've ever parried a boss in my life. And I don't think I ever will.
No, that's safe. I think. God, I don't think I've ever. All right, if we're saying parrying a boss, are we counting? Are we counting like a gun parry from Bloodborne?
um yeah, you know what? I never done that either, so yeah.
Oh, you have it. Okay. I know I've definitely done it once or twice to oh god, what's his name? Father Gascoigne in the very beginning, as well as a few of the I know the oh god, uh the cathedral monster who jumps on the bridge and gets you there. I know I've parried a few of them with the weapon, but I think you're right. I think a lot of the bosses are parryable in Dark Souls, at least especially the human sized ones.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the monsters are.
Uh
Like I don't know if you can just be like Capra Demon running up on you, be like, "Ha, parry."
Now I think Capra Demon might be a little too tall for that parry. Um, or same thing, like the Stray Demon and like uh the Taurus Demon, all those. But I think you can parry Gwen, the final boss. Um, and what else is like a normal sized boss? I
Oh,
forgot.
I was about to say Smog, the Thunder and Lightning guy. Oh crap, I lost the
Oh,
name.
Ornstein and Smog. Yeah.
Yeah, Ornstein Smog. Yeah.
What's-
I think you can do that. I know you can parry. I think it's Ornstein in. Is he the one in two? You fight him by himself.
Yep.
I think you can parry him there. And I'm pretty sure you're right. The final characters, the final bosses, the whatever the Kindler is, can all be parried as well. Um. So because I know like Bloodborne for me, like after beating Bloodborne and going back, where Bloodborne you could get health back if it was like in that orange state, and you just had to keep going in. So I know for myself personally uh that made the game a little bit. It made it harder to go back to like Dark Souls, where it was like, ah, yes, like just keep going, and then it's like, oh wait, this isn't healing me. Oh, I can't do this. This isn't gonna help. I think that's my only problem with like going forward and back between all the games is like, oh, that's wrong game, wrong mechanics, wrong game.
Shoot, there's a videos of people who play Sekiro and they get used to playing that so much, and then they go back to play Dark Souls and try to parry everything. It's like, no, stop, no, stop.
Did you SGD or AGDQ this year? Did you see the person who did a blindfolded run of Sekiro?
No, I didn't. Is that? I didn't know that was even possible.
It's an any complete. Like he doesn't feed the kid the rice to get like the true ending. He but he does beat the game completely blindfolded.
Wow. How do you know
It's
where to go?
Um, I apparently like it's literally just practicing, and when they're doing it, it's a lot of sound cues. So like he'll run into certain walls, and those will be walls where he can like jump, or he knows if he falls at this wall, he can like eat something on the way down, which will kill him. It'll trigger a later spawn. It like when they were explaining it, how that community talked about speedrunning it, I was like, I can understand you being able to speed run, but I can't understand you being able to speed run it blindfolded. Uh,
That's insane.
it was great. It was really cool to watch, and it was just one of those things where I'm like, I don't like intrinsically right now. I just don't like you. Thank you for raising a lot of money for Doctors Without Borders and fighting cancer and really being a better person, but like I just don't like you at this moment.
So you're just a
Uh,
dick for
yeah,
doing this. Show
way
off.
way to like help the world and make the world a better place, but stick it so far sideways.
Thank you.
So we're about the halfway point. Have you? So you do night builds. Have you started Elden Ring at all?
Yes, I have.
Let's do hot take. First impressions. What do you got for me?
Um, well, first off, um I know I said I don't do night builds, but this one I actually did start off as a night because I didn't know what everything else really was per se. So I was like, you know what, I'll just pick this one for now. But I've removed that my helmet, so I actually don't have a fat roll. But anyways, first impressions, the game is I'm not gonna lie, I had to I wasn't like super impressed right away
Mm-hmm.
from it like I thought it was gonna be. I had to play for a little bit, do some exploring and whatnot, and kind of like explore the world a bit, and like kind of not just figure out where things are, but like figure out like how the world works and everything. But like now that I've done that, I can safely say it's a really good game. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm not super far into it yet. Like I haven't even gotten to like the Stormvale Castle yet. I mean, I've gotten to like the point where you have to fight that one boss that everyone keeps dying on, and yeah, I died on the boss. But other than that, I did fight a few other bosses, and there were like the bosses you see like in those smaller dungeons that are shown.
Hmm.
I beat some of them already. The knight on a horse that's roaming the field. That boss, I haven't beaten that boss yet. I get to the halfway point, and it just does these crazy move on me. It just knocks out all my health. So it's like I just need to get stronger on that one. But I am digging it right now. I am. I'm just getting used to like some of the terminology of certain things now because instead of souls you have runes. So it's like runes are your currency now, and like instead of Titanite you have blacksmith shards or whatever. Yeah, blacksmith shards instead of Titanite shards. So I'm getting used to the terminology of everything. Kind of like how we were playing Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2. Do you go to Bloodborne and everything is completely different? It's blood echoes instead of souls and all this other stuff. So
Here's This is one of the things that I have to say. Like, I feel, because I know one of the big appeals for this game was also like, hey, George R. R. Martin helped write it, and they went a little bit more straightforward, if I'm not mistaken, on their lore. Whereas Dark Souls, it's a lot of reading, it's a lot of piecing things together, and for someone who's like, hey, if you're trying to like get someone in this, like, hey, it's a great story, it's a very hard story to get someone into because of how opaque I would say the entire Souls franchise is. But the fact that you play Dark Souls, you play Demon Souls, and then you're like, I'm gonna go play Bloodborne. Oh, I died. I have to go pick up my souls again. Like, it's like, oh, it's Blood Echoes, but I feel so, I don't know how to feel for the Elden Ring people, where it's like, oh, hey, like, we developed runes. You mean souls? No, they're runes. So I need to go get my souls back, right? And it, like, I feel bad. Like, they're never gonna shake that. It's always gonna be souls from like now on out.
yep, they're just souls.
Do you have a build that you're going to go for in particular for this game?
I think after I get through this, I don't know. I need to like really explore and I just gotta I don't know yet. Because it's still so fresh in my mind right now. So it's like I don't know like yeah, I don't know yet. It's just everything is just so fresh right now. I don't know what I'm going to do per se, like in future runs.
One of the
Um
so one of the things I know, you said like the first boss that you die to is, so I heard people tell me that the beginning of Elden Ring uh reminded a lot of people of like Dark Souls three's beginning. Um how much would you say it's like that?
mm, uh, not that much to me really. I don't know. It didn't feel like the beginning of Dark Souls 3 to me. But that's just my opinion.
The Because like I said, I've got I think Vampy Bit Me or Mecha Maiden is playing Elden Ring uh currently as well. The first boss everyone dies to, is that like the boss in the beginning of Demon Souls, or the boss in the beginning of Dark Souls, the, oh god, was it the Asylum Demon, where they can, it, like, you're kind of meant to die on them at least once?
Um I guess like the boss I'm talking about is like when you're going straight up to the well, because when you first start the game, there's this optional boss that runs the. I'm pretty sure you've seen that big knight that's on that horse.
Mm-hmm.
That boss is optional. You don't have to fight that. But like the first like mandatory boss you fight is when you're going to storm. You're going to the castle, and there's this one guy, and this is I forgot the name of the boss, but it's right before you get to the castle. You got to fight him to get past them door to get to the castle, and he's balls to the walls hard. It's
Hmm.
I think it's like it's pretty much recommended that you do like exploring first before you fight that guy. So it's like you go through like a bunch of other dungeons, mini dungeons, and every mini dungeon I believe has a boss. And yeah, every mini dungeon I believe has a boss, and they're not really that hard. The first boss actually fought. This is kind of like this dog, and that thing kept killing me because the dog. It's a weird dog. It's like a statue. It has like a sword and it can breathe fire, and that thing kept one shotting me. That wasn't strong enough. I think I went to that dungeon a little too early, but I eventually beat it.
Now, because like I said, I have actually kept myself pretty blind on this so far. There are a few people that I'll probably watch play it. Of course, like when you start streaming it, it'll be one of the few things that I'll be like tuned in for to see how it goes for you as well. The but the One of the things that made me especially curious about this one compared to other Souls games was the influence of the Souls like. So it's no longer like when people say Souls. Of course, you have Demon Souls, Dark Souls, the I'm going to say the FromSoft family of them, but now they also have games like Neo. I'm playing Death's Gambit personally in my like free time. Mortal Shells came out, and there are so many Souls like games. Um, have you seen anything so far in this that's like, hey, this looks like they saw someone else who kind of improved upon their strategy or some of their systems to also make a game?
Mm. Did I see any improvements that other games made?
Yeah, or do you see any, because I know you said you said playing uh you said you're currently playing through
Neo.
Neo. Have you seen anything like so far of what you've seen of the game where it's like, hey, this feels like they might have gotten some of this from Neo of because of like how the game feels or anything that you've seen, or does it all look um does it just feel more incredibly Souls?
It's feel more Souls to me, honestly. Yeah, it feels more Souls to me. Nothing like really like stands out to like, oh yeah, not I haven't seen anything from like any of the Souls games I play. I haven't seen anything that they took from Neo or anything like that. That's just me personally though. But I will say this though.
Hmm.
I think it's kind of weird that Neo came out and that's a kind of like a samurai type of game. And then From Software comes out with Sekiro, which you're a samurai. Or you're a ninja, take it back.
Yeah, you were more of like the ninja assassin
Yeah.
in Sekiro, whereas Neo came out and it felt like you were kind of like Tom Cruising it, uh,
Yeah.
being an Englishman over in Japan. So I know you said earlier, like you said Neo is probably your favorite of the Souls like games.
Hmm.
What what about Neo makes it more of your favorite compared to like say uh I am now drawing a blank, but like a Mortal Shell or even Dragon's Dogma, I felt like had some Souls like elements to it.
Yeah, I remember Dragon's Dog, but it does have some Souls elements to it. But I think with Neo is that it's kept with the formula. It felt like something like From Software made. It felt like something that came from Software. Um like as opposed to like Dragon's Dogma just I don't know, Dragon's Dogma just didn't really click with me as much.
Hmm.
It I didn't I don't know, that world I didn't really care for that much. It was I mean I didn't really care for the whole multiplayer aspect of it all. I just I don't know. It was a little boring to me. The game got a little boring, and the
I can
combat wasn't. I wasn't a super big fan because I don't think they have a lock on in that game. You can lock on the enemies, so like I struggled with the combat too.
I think it was that era where it kind of felt like it was like a soft lock on, almost like the Witcher 2, or
Yeah.
the Witcher 1, which could feel a little. It could definitely feel a little like it was missing or it needed something there. Um, Now as for, because I know you said it has dungeons, are the dungeons like the Chalice dungeons almost of Bloodborne, or do they have a different feeling about them?
Well, they're just smaller, little bite-sized dungeons. They're not even that really big. Like I don't think I've ever did the challenge dungeons in Bloodborne. I've never beaten Bloodborne, believe it or not. So
I will not spoil that ending for you because I know you are a I know you're trying to like make your way through all those, and that one is has a fantastic ending.
thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Very, as I said earlier, we're probably going to spoil these. Let's not, I'm not going to spoil the endings. Um, have you, so now with because Neo, you said it's definitely more, you play more of like your samurai esque look going about it, but has that influenced like what you want to go for in your build for Elden Ring? Has that changed, like, hey, maybe I want to do more of like a samurai build or a ninja build for Elden Ring? I know you said you started as a knight, but
Well, you know what? Actually, in Elden Ring, there is a samurai build.
oh, there is.
Yeah, there actually is a samurai build.
Oh, what are the actual classes for this game?
I didn't look through them all.
Oh, okay.
I just kind of like, I just kind of went through, but I noticed a samurai, and you have like the sorcerer type and whatnot, and you have a knight, and I think there's a hero type of build, and I forgot the other one, but yeah, I can't name it off the top of my head.
Okay, I wonder
Sadly,
if the hero, do you get to like punch people as the hero? Like,
I don't know. I'll be nice. Just punch a demon in the face.
yeah, just straight up like run up on him and be like, "This is what we're doing now."
Yeah, just
That's one of the things. Are there any, so for these games, are there any like weapons that you wish were incorporated more, or that you kind of like wish you like saw more in a Souls game?
in this game.
Any of them, like, so for me, like, I thought the halberd was really cool, but I always wanted to see a little bit more in the range of like battle axes, because there are some really cool battle axes, and I felt like the axes in all the Souls games were kind of uh like one dimensional. It was just like, it was like, here's the same axe over and over again. Whereas when it came to like swords per se, like, especially if you want, like, this is a dex sword versus um a dex sword versus like a strength sword. Like a rapier would handle one way, a uh the Uchikatana would go a different way, and then if you use like a great sword, it would work a little bit different. um do you have like any weapons that you would like to see more of, or wish to see more of throughout these games?
Honestly, no, but I wouldn't mind. Like, I like when Bloodborne, how you have one weapons is initially just two weapons because you have the regular weapon, then you could put the other piece of that another piece of the weapon together and make a bigger weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I do kind of wish they. I don't think it would be. I think it would be pretty cool that they kind of incorporated that in another Souls game, like in Dark Souls or like Dark Souls 4 or something like that. I think it'd be kind of cool. I'm not gonna say,
Are like more trick weapons?
yeah, yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I would like to see. So I would say, like, for me, like, that was Bloodborne's, personally, to me, like, Bloodborne's I'm gonna say the one thing that was lacking was the a lot of the weapons just felt like repeats of themselves. Like, you had the saw cleaver, you had the saw spear, and then you had like the axe, and I think like the only real different weapons were like the you had the Rippler Splitter, which was the weapon that you could get at Canehurst Castle. It was like a gun rapier. Um, but it did feel like a lot of the weapons were just repeats off themselves. Like if you did the cane whip and you went back to then you did the DLC, the old blood, you could get like the sword version of that where it was like Ivy sword, but the move set felt very similar to the cane that you could start the game with.
Oh, that's lame.
Yeah, I think that was like my only real issue. Um All right, then let's go. We'll go this because we're getting close to the end here. Do you have a favorite boss of like any of the Souls games that you're like, you know what, this boss is probably like my favorite one to like go back and fight?
Um, hmm, favorite boss. Uh, Trying to think throughout. Um, I can't really think of a favorite boss. I mean, there's I know the boss in the fire boss in Dark Souls, when the Blighttown boss. I
Uh
thought
huh.
that one was. I kind of like that one. That was a good one. The um the was it the was it the Iron Giant or something like the giant before you reached Anor Londo? That was a good one
The
too.
So I was actually going to ask you with that one. Have you ever been human to do that and summoned Tarkus,
For which boss?
the Iron Golem right before Anor
Iron
Londo?
Golem. There you go. No, I haven't.
Yeah,
I actually don't use
really.
summons really. Believe it or not. I'm beating the games up by myself like that. Yeah.
That's the only boss you should use a summon on because it gives you a special clearance for that boss.
Really?
Yes. Um like it's one of those things where you would fight that boss and you would go and summon Tarkus, and then you just run to the other side of the arena and you don't even fight him.
Wow.
You just turn around and watch Tarkus fight him. Because it is a it is one of the like best, like I have seen so many speed runs where it's like they will sit there and wait for Tarkus to fight him because it's just that good. Um if you ever find yourself going back through Dark Souls 1, or just look up like Tarkus Iron Golem fight on YouTube,
Hmm.
it is probably the most like one of the most worthwhile fights I have ever seen. Um so those two there. Do you have a least favorite boss?
Let's see. Oh, I have a few of them. Capra Demon we talked about. That's one of them.
Yeah.
Um, let's see here. The boss in Dark Souls 3, the second boss, the beast, that frost beast thingy. I hate fighting that thing.
Yes.
That thing can go to hell. um, so I think it's. Let me think of some Dark Souls 2 bosses I hate. Shoot. Actually, you know what? Dang, I can't even think of Dark Souls 2 bosses I hate fighting.
It is very hard for me to think of like anything in Dark Souls 2 some days. I
Yeah.
know I feel like it's 3 was such an improvement and 1 is iconic that like Dark Souls 2, like any other middle child, is just kind of like lost
Eh.
in obscurity.
It's funny because I don't think that game is that bad. It's just there. It's like, yeah, that happened. It wasn't even made by, remember, it was made by the B team too. So it's like, you
Do
know,
you Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Do you remember the trailer where it was like the trailer when the game got announced where it was like prepare to die again, and then it was literally just montages of different ways the character was dying and it would be like again and again, again and
Yeah.
again. I like that's one of the few things like I remember when they announced that game, and being so excited for it because I had finally gotten into that series was so much later, and just being like dying again and again and again.
I do remember that. And the funny thing about that game is that the first area in the game, I kept dying in that area for some reason. I was terrible at the beginning. The beginning area, like not the very beginning, like the first like main area where you go and you eventually fight the giant.
Mm-hmm.
I kept dying in that area for I don't know why. This is one of the easiest areas in Dark Souls history. I just kept dying there. It was terrible. But then after I got through that, the game was practically smooth sailing for me. The game, I like I said, I think it's one of the probably the easiest Dark Souls game I've ever played.
I was like, I think for me, like, still that my hardest boss will always be my first playthrough of Bloodborne, the Blood-Starved Beast,
Oh,
who is,
oh my gosh, I forgot about that boss.
and it's an optional boss. Like, you do not have to go fight him, and it's just one of the few that I was like to this day I'm still like, like I've gotten better about fighting him, but he's still like one of my like least favorites to go handle and try to like take care of. Um,
But yeah,
Go ahead.
funny thing about that boss, when I first played the game and I got to that boss, I was sold it. I spent days trying to beat that boss, days, and then I finally beat the boss. Only to find out nothing happens. I get nothing. It's like I spent my whole time finding this boss for nothing.
Oh, no, you get your first chalice dungeon piece.
Oh,
That's that's how you that's the first way to get into like the chalice dungeons.
yeah, but I thought it was gonna be like a story progression type of thing. Like, I don't know. I thought it was gonna get me to the next big area of the game. I was like, I didn't have to fight him. Great.
Yeah. Oh god, that was so. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite monster design from any of those games?
um, favorite monster design. Um, See, I can't even name the monsters per se, but the one design I find unique and grotesque that I kind of like is the gaping dragon from Dark
I
Souls 1.
Oh yeah.
That boss.
Oh yes.
I do like the design of also the boss in Blighttown.
Yes.
I like
Okay, I
that.
had to think about that.
Yeah. And then a when it comes to like regular enemies, I can't think of one per se. But uh yeah, I can't think of anything like in terms of regular enemies. Some of the you know what? I do like the designs of, I mean, they're not monsters or anything, but the Black Knights and Silver Knights, I do like those designs. Those are pretty cool.
I like that. I think one of my favorite parts of the entire series, and it definitely shone through in Dark Souls 1. One, the gaping dragon, how it because it I think at that point it was like all the other dragons were supposed to be dead, but
Hmm.
that one was so gluttonous it survived and hides in the bottom of the sewers and like eats the filth and the trash, and it's why it looks as monstrous as it does. And I have to say the lore behind why some of the knights are covered like in black tarnish and like the ones in Anor Londo are silver, and it's like, no, the ones in black tarnish, they're the guys who went out with the king to ignite the first flame, and and then it's like the silver ones are the ones that had to like stay behind, and it's like, no, they're actually the B team. They're not as strong or as badass as the Black Knights.
See, I did not know that.
Oh,
I
it's go ahead.
I did not know that. I have trouble following the lore. Like I usually play the games just like for the gameplay. Like
Hmm.
I know I really should like get into the lore more. I did not know any of that. That's insane.
I'll give you one more. Like, have you? Do you know the art? So I take it you've beaten completely through Dark Souls 1, and this is where we'll begin to like leave off for the podcast.
Yes, I
Um,
have.
okay, did you do the DLC where you went back in time?
Um, I did a little bit of it. Never finished the DLC, but I saw someone play through most of it. You talking about the wolf?
Well, so if you go see the wolf after doing the DLC, the wolf greets you differently.
Yeah, you talking
But
about that or
no, I was actually going to talk about the DLC itself.
yo?
So you go back in the DLC, and the first thing you do is you run into Artorias, the hero of legend, and he looks like completely destroyed. He comes out disheveled and backwards, and his arm is hanging limp, and he looks like an absolute mess. And if you beat him and get his sword is a right-handed weapon. And I think it's in the description. But when he fights you with the sword in his left hand.
What?
So that entire fight where he is, because for the most part he spanks you. Like it is a generally it's a pretty hard fought fight, especially for your first time through the game. Like I'd say like 3 or 4 times through it, it gets a little bit easier. But he is fighting you with his bad hand and probably below half health because he just got done fighting the primordial human and lost.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's insane.
The lore for the Souls games, I would say like if it could be presented more straightforward, would make it far more. And I think that's one of the things with Elden Ring is to bridge that gap. But I think that's one of the reasons George R. Martin got involved was because FromSoft needed to really expand and be like, hey, um, here's a more straightforward lore that's not going to be read every piece of item, read everything everywhere, and then wiki dive on the subreddit for 36 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
Um, but you know what? I will say this. Again, I know it's not really a Souls game per se, but Sekiro that had a pretty straightforward story, so that was a start in the right direction, I guess.
I It was and it was a good story. I would say I would say kind of like Bloodborne. Um the like getting the true ending was really obtuse, and you had to like it was like do this very um what's the word I'm trying to think, like it was like go do this completely seemingly like harmless nonsense side quest, and if you don't complete this side quest you never actually get to see the true ending. um and I think that was like kind of like Bloodborne, where it was like if you don't have three special items, you just get the generic ending, and you don't actually get to see like what the real ending is supposed to be.
Yeah,
But
crazy.
yeah, where can we find you, and what will you be up to?
You can find me at Plus Soldier Adrian on YouTube. Um, I actually on Monday I should have it uploaded by Monday. I will have a video talking about um my first impressions of Horizon Forbidden West, and of course Elden Ring, like we talked about earlier. Talk about my first impressions of that. I also find me on twitch.tv/Pro Soldier Adrian, as well as on Twitter. I'll be streaming on Monday as well. Yeah, I think I will be streaming on Monday, so be looking forward to that as well. Be streaming some Elden Ring as well as some Horizon Forbidden West. Again, I know you've been streaming as well.
Yes. So Mrs. Play and I will actually we did our one-off stream of that, and that's actually a game for us. So the next time that she and I talk about it will be for probably a Horizon Forbidden West podcast. But it's one of the few games that we don't stream because it's a game that we just like to share together.
Right. Before you go,
Mm-hmm.
I want to. And I know this is a Elden Soulsborne thing, but I just saw like I was going through Horizon Zero Dawn. It took me 5 years to beat that game because I was playing it off and on.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time I was like so like curious like what the heck happened to that world. And this past Wednesday I figured out exactly what happened. What in the hell? Like the
The Terminator esque ending to our world.
pretty much not only that, but the this is spoiler alert, folks, too, for Horizon. If you've never finished it, um, the first game. But the
Mm-hmm.
guy who made the robots is a fucking moron. What
What
a
do you mean,
yeah.
Ted
Let's make the
Faro?
yeah Ted Faro. He's an idiot. He is a
Did
grade A.
did you ever watch Iron Blooded Orphans?
No, I haven't.
Gundam Iron Blooded Orphans. There's a mini arc that is actually explains to you how the Gundams came to be in that series, and the Gundams were actually made to stop his very creations.
Oh my gosh.
So if we would have built Gundams in Horizon Zero Dawn, it would have brought us to Iron Blooded Orphans. Of if they didn't do that, Iron Blooded Orphans never happened. You get Horizon Zero Dawn.
One or the other.
And yeah,
Shit.
it's pretty great. I was explaining that to Mrs. Play, and she was like, that's just too much work and too much thought in it. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap here. Thanks everyone so much for joining me. Of course, I will have links to all of Adrian's stuff at the bottom of this video here. You can find this on Apple Podcast, iTunes, Spotify, as well as Alexa now. Remember that you guys are all winners out there. Keep it weird and have a fantastic rest of your day.